Have you ever felt like the world was against you? Like you've lost everything, and you're just left wondering, why me? If you've ever felt that way, then the story of Job is one you need to hear. This isn't just an ancient tale. It's a powerful lesson in faith, endurance, and the true nature of blessings. In the land of Uz, there lived a man named Job. The Bible describes him as blameless and upright, a man who feared God and shunned evil. He was incredibly blessed, a loving family with 7 sons and 3 daughters, vast herds of livestock, and a great number of servants. By all accounts, he was the greatest man among all the people of the East. He had it all: wealth, family, and a stellar reputation. But then, his world was turned upside down in a single day. A series of messengers brought devastating news. One after another, he learned that his oxen and donkeys were stolen, his sheep were struck by lightning, his camels were carried off by raiders, and most tragically, all 10 of his children were killed when a great wind struck the house they were in. Can you imagine the depth of that sorrow? In one moment, everything Job held dear was gone. Most people would crumble. They'd curse their luck, question their faith, or fall into despair. But what did Job do? The scripture says he got up, tore his robe, and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship and said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." What incredible faith! Even in the face of unimaginable loss, his first instinct was to worship. But his trials were far from over. Next, Job was afflicted with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. The physical agony was immense. His own wife, seeing his suffering, told him, "Are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die." But Job's faith, though tested, remained firm. He replied, "You are talking like a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" Then 3 of Job's friends came to comfort him. At first, they sat with him in silence for 7 days, but when they finally spoke, their words were not of comfort but of accusation. They insisted that Job must have sinned to deserve such punishment. They operated on a simple formula: if you do good, you are blessed; if you suffer, you must have done wrong. For chapter after chapter, they debated with Job, trying to get him to confess to some hidden sin. Job, however, maintained his innocence. He didn't understand why this was happening to him, and he cried out to God in his confusion and pain. He questioned God's justice and longed for a chance to plead his case. He felt abandoned, misunderstood, and utterly alone. This is a part of the story we can all relate to, that feeling of crying out into the void, wondering if anyone is listening. Finally, after all the debates and accusations, God himself speaks. He doesn't answer Job's why questions directly. Instead, from a whirlwind, God reveals his awesome power and sovereign wisdom. He asks Job, "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Have you ever given orders to the morning, or shown the dawn its place?" Through these powerful questions, God shows Job how limited human understanding is compared to divine wisdom. Job realizes he has been speaking of things he did not understand, things too wonderful for him to know. Humbled, Job repents, not for a sin he committed to cause his suffering, but for questioning God's wisdom and justice. He says, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." And what happens in the end? God restores Job's fortunes. He gave him twice as much as he had before. He blessed him with 7 more sons and 3 more daughters, who were said to be the most beautiful in all the land. Job lived a long and full life, seeing his children and their children to the 4th generation. Job's story teaches us that suffering is not always a punishment for sin. Sometimes, it's a test of faith that, when endured, can lead to a deeper, more profound relationship with God. It shows that it's okay to have questions and to cry out in pain, but ultimately, we must trust in a wisdom far greater than our own. Job's victory wasn't just getting his stuff back, it was seeing God in a new and powerful way. Thank you for joining us on Tivees Media. If this story touched you, please give this video a thumbs up.